Welcome to the Plant Trainers Podcast, where we're helping people improve their quality of life through nutrition and fitness. And now, your hosts, nutrition and wellness coaches, international speakers, Adam and Shoshana Chaim.
Hey, I'm Adam Chaim.
And I'm Shoshana Chaim, and we are
Propelled by Plants. Today we bring to you episode 285, 10 Hacks to Stay Fit During Travel with Rob Dionne.
In this episode of the Plant Trainers Podcast, we talked to Rob Dionne all about how to stay healthy and fit while you are traveling. So we know we called it hacks, and if you know us well, you know that we're not really big on hacks, but let's face it, it makes a really sexy headline, and we wanted this information to really be in people's hands. So it doesn't matter if you're traveling home for the holidays, taking a personal getaway with someone special, or on a family vacay. Maybe you're even taking that dreaded business trip. These tips will keep you on your game. If you want to know if setting intentions really work, or how to eat healthy on the road, or how to get a workout in on a business trip with no gym in sight, this is the podcast for you. Plant-based, vegan or not, these tips and tricks are definitely going to get you somewhere. So tag us at Plant Trainers the next time you travel and show us how you're using these hacks.
Rob is the host of the Open Sky Fitness podcast. He's a lifestyle and fitness expert based out of Los Angeles. He specializes in helping busy people and entrepreneurs get out from behind their desks and carve out time to create a better quality of life for themselves and their family. You might have heard Rob on other podcasts discussing his views on why the traditional approach to weight loss is a waste of time. So here's the thing. We all want to do a little bit better. We all want to make better choices, and we all want to have someone to count on to push us just a little bit outside of our comfort zone. But not everyone is willing to hire a coach or find a friend that could help us get us to where we want to go. That's what's great about our Propelled by Plants performance tees and our Training for Life soft cotton t-shirts. They are that reminder that is literally on your shoulder, encouraging you, reminding you, and building your confidence to run a little further, get up a little earlier, or make better choices at meal and snack time. Don't you want a little bit more of that? So head over to planttrainers.com/shop and pick up one or both of those shirts and start walking a little taller or longer or faster. Sizes go quick, so order yours today. And if you have one already, snap a pic and tag us on Instagram or Facebook. And now for a moment of gratitude.
I'm grateful for the opportunity that we have every year to go down to Florida, spend time with my 95, 96, 97-year-old grandmother, whatever it is that year.
Can't keep track anymore.
It can't keep track. Plus, she has 3 birthdays, so it makes it out of control. And if you want to know that story, she's been on the podcast before. But I'm just so grateful to have a grandmother I'm 40, and to be able to have my grandmother and my children know her.
I'm grateful just to be able to spend time with family and see family members that I haven't seen in a while and just hang out.
I said I was 40. Rob Dionne, thank you so much for joining us on the Plant Trainers Podcast today.
Oh, Adam, Shoshana, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I love what you guys are doing, and I'm super excited to be here.
We wanted to know if you have a moment of gratitude to share with us and our listeners.
Oh, for sure. So as you guys, I think, might know, but maybe some of your audience obviously doesn't know, but my wife and I just had a little baby girl about 3 months ago. And I don't think there's really much in life that you could be more grateful for than the miracle of having a baby, and realizing the depth at which you are able to love something outside of yourself, like when you have a kid. So I am unbelievably grateful for my daughter, her being super healthy, and the most and the cutest thing basically in the world right now to me. Wow. So that's the thing that I'm most grateful for at this moment.
That's making me smile. It reminds me when my niece was born and we went to Montreal, and I picked her up and I looked at her and I held her and I was like, oh my God, I have like this unconditional love for my niece that just kind of popped out of nowhere. It didn't build, like when you meet adults and you meet your partner, like that love builds, right? But like it didn't have to build. It was just there. And I'm like, wow, what's it going to be like when I have my own kid? And that would just like propelled me into wanting to be a parent, like right then and there. And then, our son was born, and it was like, holy craziness, like this is the love that you feel.
I'm curious, like, do you guys feel, how old is your son?
He's 10 now.
So when he was born, right, and I'm sure that you guys seem like very highly productive people, and you're motivated to achieve things. And when you have a baby, and this is now, I'm 3 months into this process, and you guys are 10 years into this process, but do you feel like there's a whole revamping of your focus of what's most important in your life, and like how you're going to operate in, like how you're going to spend your time in just with this new being that you basically want to spend every moment with?
Absolutely. Everything changes. Your whole focus of life now shifts from yourself to the realization that you're responsible for this other being, and trying to, at least I do, try to be the best role model possible for him and for our daughter. And your whole life just completely shifts. And after a quick 3 months of you going through that, you have a lot more coming, my friend.
You don't know what you're in for. But no, all good stuff. I think what changes a lot, and what a lot of entrepreneurs who are not parents don't realize is that, we're all busy, and you shouldn't use parenthood as an excuse, like not to grow your business and all of that. But at the same time, when you're walking to the gym or driving to the store or taking your shower, you don't just think about yourself anymore. You're thinking about, is my kid being bullied at school, or what can I make them in their lunch that's going to be that much more healthier, or they're upset because there's someone sick in the family, or we lost someone in the family. So all that time that you had to be selfish, you don't have that to worry about your own problems anymore. You're worrying about your children. So, or you're not planning, new programs in your head. You're thinking about your kids. It's all consuming, but at the same time, you need to make sure that you carve out that time for yourself too. Because if you're not well, you can't take care of them.
I don't know if worry is the right word. Like, I don't sit here and worry about everything that our kids are doing all the time. I mean, I do put some focus on us, but I get what you're saying.
I'm exaggerating for exaggeration's sake, but I mean, there are times where you need to think about that, and you can't only just think about yourself. You
guys are veterans. I mean, you've been doing this for a long time. I'm definitely the rookie here, and but it's interesting because I'm realizing very quickly all the things that I don't want to do. And then I'm realizing, wow, all the things that I really do want to do. And like you said, Adam, like, being the role model. It's like, what kind of role model do I want to be as a father, as someone, for someone small to look up to and kind of, base their life on, and really trust. And so that was something that never popped into my mind prior until my daughter was in this world. Right. And it's just an amazing mental shift that I really am enjoying. And I'm really, and you're coming back to it, I'm so grateful for it, because I know it's making me a better person.
Right. And I'm so interested to know, I mean, I don't know, have you always been in fitness and fit and healthy? And now that you have Charlie here, how has your fitness and your health changed in the last 3 months?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. Well, going back, I've always been athletic. As a kid growing up, I was always an athlete. My mom and my dad got me into soccer, baseball, swimming, wrestling, all the way up until I graduated from high school. So I was always fit.
You were one of those kids who needed to be kept busy. That's what it sounds like.
I did, but I had 4 older sisters, so there were 5 of us. So for my parents, it was more about get them out of the house so we don't go crazy. There was just so many kids around. So, and all of my sisters were everybody was wrapped up in extracurricular activities, and that was really important in my family. Otherwise, there'd just be people hanging out all day long. So, but we didn't necessarily focus on the nutrition part of being healthy. We focused more on just being active, and that was totally fine. As a kid growing up. But then in your 20s, I went to college to be an actor originally. I went to an acting conservatory in upstate New York, and I ended up moving to Manhattan for a little while. And over the decade, maybe like 6 years, I graduated when I was 24, and then I moved to Manhattan, and then I moved to Los Angeles. And by the time I was 30 years old, I was about 30 pounds heavier than I was in my freshman year of college. And I just I was working out a little bit. I was trying to be healthy, basically doing a lot of cleanses and detoxes and just trying to figure things out, testing out a whole bunch of different diets. And what I realized was that there was no quick fix for being healthy. I couldn't just do something for a little bit of time and lose weight. I needed to really restructure the way that I was doing everything, whether it be my nutrition, my workouts, the way in which I was formulating my lifestyle. And that was the biggest learning lesson for me, because it took me a long time, because by the time I was trying to get healthy again, I was already in my 30s and my metabolism was a little bit slower. My body wasn't necessarily as spry as it was early in my early 20s and teens. And I was running into a lot of roadblocks. Coming up with some injuries. I had hernias, knee problems, ankle problems, messed up my shoulder, snowboarding, and I had to work around all of that stuff. So when I really started making the transition, and I say transition, I mean, you guys are, I'm sure, in the same boat. There is no, oh, now I'm healthy, I'm there, I've arrived. It's a constant journey. We're trying to figure this stuff out. So as I kind of migrated through my 30s, and now I'm 41, my wife, between the two of us, have come up with a lifestyle around being healthy that serves us. And then, finishing the question with what you asked about, now that Charlie's here, that's my daughter's name, Charlie. Now that she's here, the biggest obstacle we're running into in terms of being healthy has to do more with time. When you're just two people, even though we are entrepreneurs and we're very busy, it really is about, if we don't edge out the time, it's not going to happen. So we understood that if I didn't batch cook, or if I didn't, schedule time to work out, it wasn't going to happen. So I just had to make that a priority. Well, now with the baby here, she kind of soaks up those extra hours. So we do have to be much more diligent. We have to take care of each other. We have to hire people to help us, whether it be a babysitter or cleaning people to help us kind of keep the house in order. So yes, it's much more difficult to be healthy when you have a baby, but it's not impossible. It's just a matter of how much ingenuity do you have? How creative can you be at solving the problem? And then are you willing to stick to it and do it because it's so important to you to maintain that lifestyle? Does that kind of sum it up?
Oh, 100%. I remember being on the treadmill with the baby and the bouncer next to the treadmill because he was awake and I wanted him to see my face and not just be, staring at a television screen at 3 months old or whatever. So he was downstairs and I would talk to him in the bouncer as I was on the treadmill, where before it would be like, I could watch TV, or I could turn on my music, or I could tune out and meditate, whatever it is. So you need to find ways to combine the two. Absolutely. So
Totally.
Health is something that is constant. We constantly need to be working at it, as you said. And when we go away on vacation or on business trips or home to visit family, which might be coming up for a lot of people now, they just had the holidays, or they might be going on family vacations, or business trips happen all the time. We need to continue to work on our health during that time as well. 1 or 2 days you could let go, not exercise, maybe eat whatever you want, but that starts to add up over time. And for some people, they can't handle not being consistent year round, because that's when you snowball back into your old habits. So we wanted to talk to you today about all of these amazing tips that we can use when we're traveling so that we maintain our health.
Yeah, and it's really important that we stay on track, like you said, because the one of the biggest strategies to being successful is momentum, right? When we built up that momentum, we feel like we've got a handle on it. We have all the habits in place. And then there's these interruptions that come up. And an interruption could be sickness and injury. Could be family visiting from out of town and throwing everything upside down. It could be just, people maybe even having getting invited to multiple weddings, even if they're in your own personal town or city on a weekend. And then the next thing you know, you're 3 days in and you're exhausted and you've maybe had way too much to drink and eat. So there's all these interruptions in our life that do come up. But now that we're kind of coming through the holidays and we are kind of getting back to life, we might be traveling for, going skiing, or we might be going for spring break very soon. All of these trips, the way that people think about this is really interesting to me, because when people think about going on vacation, it's almost as if they're in a different world than their own personal life. They're stepping outside of their own life, and they've got basically a free pass to do whatever they want for whatever the duration of the getaway is, whether it be 3 days or it's 2 months or whatever, 2 weeks, right? Who goes on 2-month vacations? I do know people who go on 2-month vacations, actually.
Well, we used to be teachers, so we totally did.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So if it doesn't matter how long you're going away. The thing is that can you set the intention to come back healthier than you were when you left? Is that even possible for you? Is that even, I mean, is that on your radar to potentially be able to do something like that? And the answer is a unanimous yes. We can totally set ourselves up to be even healthier when we arrive back home than when we left.
I want to put a pin there, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Setting intentions. That's huge. So whether I'm, in a corporate situation, whether I'm in a school talking to teachers, whether I'm teaching 8-year-olds how to use yoga in their classroom, whatever it is that I'm doing, or speaking at bigger conferences, I always ask people to set intentions. What do you want to get out of this? Where do you want to be when you leave? How do you want to feel when you leave? And that's key to your mindset throughout the whole thing.
And I want to isolate a little bit of the difference just for your audience, to isolate the difference between setting an intention and setting a goal. Some people kind of miss that. Your goal could be to get to the top. Say you're going on a hike. Your goal could be to get to the top of the mountain, right? But your intention needs to be set to enjoy the process, take in, smell the roses, see the sights, actually absorb the thing that you are doing, basically enjoying the process rather than just aiming for the result.
It's a little less tangible.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So if your intention is to enjoy the week and feel better throughout the week, how do you set that intention for yourself rather than I want to lose another 10 pounds over this vacation? That's not necessarily, that can literally mean that you're starving yourself from start to finish. So if your intention is to enjoy the process and really feel like every day you're experiencing at another level, because let's be honest, when you go on vacation, even though we tend to come back unhealthy or, not as healthy as we were when we left, the reality of it is we don't have our day-to-day responsibilities, right? We don't have to feed the cats. We don't have to feed the dogs. We don't have to, take the trash out. We don't have to do all these things that absorb our day and our bandwidth. So when we go on vacation, we end up taking on different things or feeling like I just need to just relax and tune out, when in fact we'll feel much better if we actually do some stuff or not try to do so much. And that actually will bring me in. So do you want to go into these? Because there's the first one on the list that I think rolls right into what we were just talking about. And that's not setting any records. So for most of us, if you're working out every day and you're on a path to really seeing results in your workouts, going on vacation is not the time. It's not the time to PR. It's not the time to break any records in your runs, in your lifting. Don't feel like this is the time to do that. This is the time for you to just maintain and keep a level of fitness that when you come back, you haven't lost any traction. You can hit the ground running right when you walk back in that gym door, right when you get back on the road, depending on what your workout programming is. And by doing this, you take the pressure off of yourself to have to constantly progress and get better. And I think that for a lot of people, they think if I'm not, they either have to keep progressing or they're backsliding. And there is a possibility to just hold steady and look at it like more of a recovery week or a recovery couple of weeks rather than just a total slip up. Does that make sense?
It does. And I think that not setting the intention to PR is definitely smart, but I do think that a lot of people might actually end up doing that. If they're away for a week and they're more relaxed and they're sleeping better at night and they're not under the stress that they're normally under, the body might actually function so much better. So you might run a little bit faster than you had intended or a little bit further than you had intended. But when you're not actually going for that goal, that's what's important.
It's interesting you should bring that up because one of the things that I notice, and I don't know if you guys notice this as well with clients, is that when they come back from vacations and they've not worked out for a couple of weeks, a week or 2 weeks, they immediately start PRing on all of their lifts or their runs or whatever it is that you're tracking the results on, because they've given themselves a little bit of that recovery time. Where they normally in their regular day-to-day, they're so stressed, they're just constantly pushing forward. They don't necessarily take care of themselves. And it's actually, recovery is a huge part of seeing progress, is knowing when to pull back and actually take time off for yourself.
Yeah, no, I agree with that completely. But so shouldn't we be letting our clients or people use their vacation time as a rest period from their regular routine? Because you mentioned before, that, they're not going to be feeding the cat or the dog or walking the dog or dealing with all their everyday normal routine things, maybe the exercise is something they should pull back on at that time. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that they should pull back, but I don't think that they should completely not.
Right.
Because like I was mentioning earlier, momentum is a very important thing. If somebody loses the momentum of the day to day, if they're working out doing something every single day, they should not lose that. Now, maybe they don't have to work out every single day, but they should keep some kind of consistency moving where they're working out maybe every other day. And if they're lifting and they want to continue to lift and their hotel happens to have a gym, or they have memberships in that city and they can go, take your workouts down to 50%. Don't try to overdo it. That's not necessarily the time to do it. So yes, I think you should pull back, but no, I don't think you should completely stop doing your workouts if possible.
It's a little more challenging for most people to get started again once you stop, and it's a lot easier for most people to just stop flat out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, just pumping the brakes or slamming on the brakes and not working out, that comes very easily. All you need is about 2 or 3 days of filling up your time with all other things that become more important. And then the next thing you know, you've lost all your momentum or a good amount of your momentum. And it's really hard to pick that back up again, because all you keep thinking about is how good it felt to be with that momentum and how much time it took you to get there. So it's just a mental game where you're just messing yourself up the entire time.
Sweet. Number 2.
All right. Number 2 on the list, Airbnb whenever possible. One of the pitfalls of staying in a hotel is the restaurants and bars, especially when you go to conferences and all those. I know that sometimes it's really important to have communication with people or have that networking time. But stopping by the hotel, bar after an event, or maybe even after maybe a dinner that you went out to with people, just to have a drink and I don't know, have a nightcap or something like that, can really set you up for disaster. Also, people on the way to, if you're at a conference and the conference actually takes place within the hotel itself, a lot of people go to Starbucks. They have a mocha latte, something that's 1,000 calories. They eat a pound cake every single morning on the way there. It's 4 days in a row, and it's easy, it's convenient, and it's an easy kind of habit to fall into. But when you stay at an Airbnb, first of all, you don't have that. You have an interruption of that. So when you wake up in the morning, every hotel has restaurants, but at an Airbnb, you get to have a kitchen. And it really doesn't take much time and organization to check into an Airbnb, find out where the local grocery store is, Uber over, grab your supplies, whatever it is that you need, whether it be snacks or breakfast foods or whatever you need, and just cook something quickly or heat something up very quickly and actually basically just have your bare essentials to start you off in the morning. And for a lot of people, it's actually, it ends up feeling like you're in an apartment that usually is completely empty and void of most knickknacks and other stuff that keeps you, that's overbearing. And it allows you to just do the few things that are important to you in the morning. Take your vitamins, maybe drink your coffee, have your breakfast, and then head off to the conference. And for most people, first of all, an Airbnb is going to be much cheaper than a hotel. Second of all, and if you're close enough to the event itself, you can Uber over for $5 to $10, and it's actually still going to be cheaper. You don't have to pay for parking costs at the hotel if you brought your car there. You just leave it at your Airbnb. And it just allows you to just streamline the process. And then if we're not talking about a conference and you're going on a vacation with your family, my wife and I have gone on Airbnbs. We actually, for about 6 months, every month for one weekend, we would Airbnb somewhere close, 2-hour drive to Los Angeles. And we would stop at a supermarket on the way there. The first night we were there, we would cook dinner there. And then the second night we would eat out. So we would try to at least have one meal out and then one meal in, and we can have whatever we want. And it ends up saving you a lot of money, and it's a lot healthier, obviously, if you're cooking for yourself, because you're making a better decision. So I think an Airbnb is a really good solution for most people when traveling, if you can swing it.
I hear you. Also, you don't have the minibar, right? So even forget the hotel lobby. You
Exactly.
can't drink in your room. You can't put your hand in the peanut and chip bag. It's just
That's
not
right.
there for you. The other thing that I love about that is if you are going to a conference and you're staying in the hotel where the conference is, you don't get any fresh air. No fresh
None.
air. So in September, I was in this conference for 4 days, and I used to go outside just to like take a deep breath. And all I was smelling was everybody else's car exhaust, but like it was still better than the air that I was getting inside. So even if you do stay, 5-10 minutes away, you could walk that too and still get some exercise in that way. So I really love that one.
Totally true.
We're taking a break from the show because we want you to check your stash of supplements. What are they made of? While it's true that you can mimic a vitamin's chemical makeup and put it into a supplement, your body won't recognize it, or more importantly, won't assimilate it in the way that it does whole food sources of nutrition. We've both been taking Via Source for the last few months. It's got vitamin D and B12, so we gave it a try. We were completely impressed, even Adam, and it's harder to impress him. Our bodies recognize Via Source as food because it's made up from food. It's got a cup of sea vegetables, 20 plus nutrients, 2 cups of leafy greens, 2 cups of berries, and a lot more. While we're from the school of eat your nutrients, we also recognize that sometimes the body and the diet need a little extra punch when you're stressed, while you're traveling, or if your body's not in stellar condition.
Via Source has so many benefits. It supports cellular health, general nutrition, and wellness throughout the body. It's 100% vegan, non-GMO, gluten-free, 100% plant cellulose capsules. So if you're going to take a multivitamin, this is the one to take. It's Plant Trainers approved. We have a link to information about Via Source and its amazing qualities in the show notes and at planttrainers.com/shop. Please check it out there and click on the link to book a call with Shoshana so that she can make sure that it's the right product for you and help you get your hands on some. And now, back to the show.
What's number 3?
Number 3 is do your research. So if you know where you're going to be staying in a particular city, do a little research and create a game plan before you go. So find out if there's any local gyms that you can go to. Maybe you can get a week pass, or maybe you can even go in for free. Search Yelp to find any local restaurants that might be a good option for you that you don't have to kind of scramble around last minute. That's what happens for most people, especially when they're on vacation or they're in a conference and all of a sudden it's lunchtime and you're like, I don't want to go to the hotel. I don't want to eat at the hotel. Not only is the food options not great, but also it's insanely expensive comparatively to like a normal restaurant. But you scramble last minute. But if you literally search Yelp, you can find a local restaurant that would be not only cheaper, but a way better option for you especially if you have a specific style of eating that is really important to you, that you stick with that, right? Because if you go to a hotel, they're not necessarily going to have the things that you want. Also, if somebody says to you they plan on taking you out to a specific dinner, just ask them where you're going. What restaurant you're going to, and you can easily go to their website, find the menu, and then plan out your meal before you go. So this when you get there, you literally just lean into the waiter and you go, hey, listen, there's nothing really on the menu that I want, but there's a couple of things that I like across the board. Can I just mix and match and make this little thing? You can even call in advance and ask if that's something that you can do. And just so you go in there without the anxiety of feeling like you're going to make a scene. A lot of people feel uncomfortable when they sit down to a restaurant and they're the only one who doesn't want to order just right off the menu. And if they do a little bit of research first, it takes so much stress off of you and allows you to just stay on course with what you're doing. And then you don't have the guilt that's associated with eating poorly. You also just feel better. You sleep better. Everything compounds when you eat healthy and you just like feel the good energy that's coming from the foods that you just consumed.
Yeah, we've talked about restaurants a lot, and speaking to the chef directly is always the easiest thing to do if you have special requirements or needs, like of course we do and our listeners do. And another website that we always talk about is Happy Cow. They will be able to help you find any vegan, plant-based, or anything of the sort.
Sometimes Airbnbs also.
Airbnbs too.
Oh, cool.
In any area that you travel to, pretty much worldwide. So it's a great resource for that as well.
I love it. That's great. I'd never heard of Happy Cow. I'm going to check that out. Thank you.
Check it out. Yeah. Number 4.
Number 4 is bring the essentials. My wife and I, we drink a version of bulletproof coffee. We do coconut oil with a dash of cinnamon, a dash of turmeric, right? We blend it up. So when we travel, we don't only bring ground coffee, we also bring our little single coffee maker, like a little, like a camping thing. which takes up basically no space. Or we use, we call ahead, we ask the hotel, do you have a coffee pot? We literally just run hot water through it, and then we'll make our coffee through that. We bring our coconut oil, we bring our cinnamon, we bring our ground coffee, our turmeric, but we also bring our NutriBullet with us. And, a lot of people are like, well, that's going to take up space. It doesn't take up all that much space. And if it's basically the only thing you're having for breakfast, which is something that we would normally do, it's like the first thing we start with, and we don't eat anything until lunch, then it's well worth the packing and the space in our bags. Just making sure that you're bringing the essentials. If you do want to work out, pack some bands, pack whatever it is that you feel like you need. If you're working with an injury, maybe you bring your TheraBand bands with you. Heck, you can even pack a yoga ball and a little pump and pump it up in your room and do some exercises with it. You can also bring your gym clothes. Don't make that the excuse for when you get there that you don't actually, I forgot my sneakers. I didn't bring any shorts. It's hot outside. I don't really, I don't have what I need for this. Make sure you pack what you need and think before. I mean, it all comes down to really planning and thinking ahead. So how do you do that? What do you pack? So bringing the essentials is a really important part of the equation when traveling.
Yeah, and when we travel long distances by car, we usually bring our Vitamix with. And
awesome.
When we are flying somewhere, we'll probably take our NutriBullet more often because it's easier, it's lighter to pack.
Yep.
And best fitness piece of equipment that we've always brought with us is a skipping rope.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because can you skip rope? I've never done it. Can you skip rope in a hotel room? Or are you hitting the ceiling?
It depends on the hotel, to be honest.
Yeah.
I never tried it in the room because I don't like to jump on other people's heads, but you take it down. You could take it downstairs. You could take it to the courtyard. You could take it out on the street, right? You could take it anywhere with you. And when you're jumping rope, you don't actually have to jump over the rope. You could just swing it by your side. So you could actually shorten it and just use that as the momentum to actually jump. You don't actually, like if you're not coordinated enough to jump over the rope, that's no excuse. You could still jump with your rope.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't even need a rope. I mean, you could just mimic what a rope would be and be doing the same exact thing. And your shoulders are going to get fatigued. Your heart rate's going to get up. You're just basically hopping in place.
Shadow jumping.
Shadow jumping. Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Awesome. Number 5.
Number 5 on the list. Make rules for yourself. Actually, this is something I got from Craig Ballantyne, he's the guy who's behind Early to Rise. And it's really important that we really do come up with rules for our lifestyle. Don't think of these as like restriction rules. Just think of them as kind of like guidelines, parameters in which you abide by at certain times, right? So even if it's just on vacation. So let's say when you're away from home, you only eat salads for lunch. Like you only eat, you don't eat any processed food when you're on vacation. You don't drink any alcohol, or if you do, you only have one alcoholic beverage per day on a work trip. Right. So if you're having these networking events and you feel like it's a very easy time to just start pounding booze for a lot of people because they have social anxiety or because it just, it makes them they like drinking. But if you set rules for yourself where you're just going to have one or you're not even going to partake because maybe you have an issue with one is just, it's like a Lay's potato chip. You can't just have one. But, this is you have to set these rules for yourself. Or I can't work out. If I can't work out, I must eat healthy. Right. And I think for a lot of people, having these rules just in place before they go, kind of setting themselves up for this, maybe even writing them down on a piece of paper, keeping in their notebook, can be just what they need in order to keep that a little bit of accountability, that self-accountability for moving into that vacation or that work trip.
Good one. I like that. Yeah. Number 6.
Number 6 is bring your snacks with you, especially if you're flying. Why are you going? You're on like a 6 or 7 hour flight, 5-hour flight, whatever it is. You need to bring snacks with you. Or if you're driving somewhere, you need to have the snacks with you. Don't wait until you get to a gas station and you hope to God they have a trail mix that's something that you can actually consume. Just bring the things with you. Fruits, bring your, bring your trail mix or whatever it is that you, even if it's energy bars that you really like. Bring those with you so this way at the last minute you are not scrambling in starvation and going to eat something that's not going to make you feel good.
Or pay $6 for a small little pretzels with hummus.
Exactly.
That's insane on an airplane.
Exactly. And this is the crazy thing about an airplane. You're already paying, so much money and they don't even want to give you like pretzels and hummus. Exactly.
And just be careful if you're crossing borders. Be careful about the fruit.
Yes, obviously.
I had my fruit, my organic apples that I paid like $1.25 each for confiscated when I was going to New York because I couldn't bring them over the border.
Oh, really?
Sad day. Yeah.
Sad day. Yeah. So and obviously, you want to be snacking, but at the same time, you don't want to just be mindlessly snacking. So try not to sit mindlessly and eat the entire bag of nuts or seeds or whatever it is that you bring. Just, have your portion and then put it down. And then if you're still hungry, ask later, space it out. So try not, what happens a lot of times is we sit on planes and the next thing we know, we've pounded an entire 1 pound bag of almonds. It's like, I can't believe I did that.
And a big part of that is because we're bored.
Exactly.
And we're not actually hungry. I mean, the truth is our body could last a lot longer than 5 hours without eating anything at all.
But our minds can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So snacks are they're kind of a tricky thing in that way. Like if you don't need snacks, don't eat them. Right. You don't have to have snacks at all times. The only reason for snacks is to get us to the next meal. It's just a little bit of boost of energy to get us to that next meal. It shouldn't be looked at as like I have to have it every time, or and check in to see, am I really hungry, like you said, or am I just bored?
What a lot of times what I talk about with my clients is stay hydrated, right? So a lot of times we're eating snacks because we're actually lacking something, but it's not food and calories that we're lacking. It's actually hydration that we're lacking. And especially when you're up on an airplane, you want to be drinking tons. And of course, travel days are harder. You don't want to disturb the people next to you to go to those stinky little bathrooms. Or if you're driving, you don't want to have to pull over the side of the road or gas stations all the time. Adam's laughing because he knows me well. But, you definitely want to stay hydrated because that's when you're most susceptible to all the germs in the airports and the airplanes and all of that. So you want to keep your immune system nice and high and keep yourself from eating.
I totally agree. It's so funny. So Adam obviously has experienced that. I experienced it with my wife, Devin, as well. She has like this little tiny bladder. It's like 105 pounds soaking wet, obviously when she wasn't pregnant. And she's like, it's the funniest thing. She pounds more water than anybody that I've ever seen, which is great. But she has to pee every 5 seconds. So it's just like we go on a road trip and I'm like, oh, what? You have this huge gallon of water and she's just pounding and pounding. She's like, well, it's going to take us like 17 hours to get to wherever we're going.
I'm going to teach her the umbrella trick. I'm going to teach her the umbrella trick.
Can you tell me what this is? Are you peeing in an umbrella?
Okay, but don't tell the listeners. So what you do is like when you're out hiking, before the hike or if you're pulling over the side of the road, if you have one of those giant golfing umbrellas, what you do is when you open the front door, no one can see from that side. And then you use the golf umbrella to cover the front and the side. And then, if you got to go, you got to go. And that way you don't necessarily
But that's not going to help her not have to go to the bathroom every 5 seconds.
No, but it will help them from having to find a gas station and going 2 miles out of their way each time.
You can't give away all your secrets.
Driving on the country road. But don't tell anybody.
Okay, so what you're telling me is if I see people with umbrellas on the side of the road, somebody's taking a piss. That's what's happening?
They probably learned that from me, yeah.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Okay, so pee on the side of the road, just bring a huge golf umbrella. Okay, got it.
All right.
I'll let her experience that when she listens to the show.
Sounds great.
Number 7, create your own meals. You might find yourself in a restaurant that doesn't have anything that you specifically want. I touched on this before, but have the conversation with your waiter. Literally say, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? And just build your meal specifically. And the reality of it is it's probably not going to be any more expensive than what you're planning on ordering, even if it's $1 or $2 more than what the average price is maybe on the menu. Who cares? Because you're going to walk out of there feeling better. The same thing goes with people. They always say, like, what would you like to drink? Would you like a Coke? Or they start naming off all of these sugar drinks. And just if you can just get yourself off of the sugary drinks, especially when you're on vacation, because a lot of people go, I'm on vacation. I'm just going to drink soda, while I'm on vacation. Try to stick to the water, club soda, even like unsweetened iced tea. If you can. This is where the trap falls. It's these mindless calorie consuming times. So,
Or
so
go back to your rules to number 5, create rules, and maybe you have a soft drink or an alcoholic beverage, but not both. You only get one.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, exactly. So you can mix and match. I love it. See, you're already using the rules. And this is what, everybody can come up with their own personal strategy that really does work for them. And the funny thing is that when you go to these restaurants, honestly, most of them are so unbelievably accommodating. It's always us. It's us as the customer that feels like we're putting them out. But the reality of it is they're there to please us. They're there to make us happy. So as long as you get what you need and you're happy, they're going to be happy.
Especially in a conference center. They really do bend over backwards.
Exactly. Number 8 on the list is maintaining accountability. If you have a personal trainer, or maybe you're a part of a community, or even an accountability group or something, don't lose contact while you're on vacation, right? Especially if the thing that you're doing, the thing that you've been working on with your trainer, with your whatever your coach is, maybe your nutritionist or whatever it is, don't lose the contact while you're gone. Don't just say, okay, I'm going dark, I'm going to unplug, and I'm not going to see you guys or talk to you guys for the next 2 weeks. Have that accountability still there for you when you need it. So even if you're at a restaurant and you're like, I don't know what to do, you can text someone or reach out in advance. Like, I have clients who they might be on their way to a restaurant. They're like, oh man, I'm on my way to a restaurant. I'm with a client. We're going to this place. Can you help me out? And I will quickly go look up that website and see what's on their menu and go, you're fine. It's going to be, you just order this, this, and this, and you're going to be totally good. And that's what accountability partners, that's what coaches can do for you, is they can really help you in the clinch when you feel like, because the reason we want accountability is because we don't feel like we have our own willpower built in. We feel like we can't do it all on our own. And it really is difficult to do all of this and maintain all of this on your own. So asking for help is not a bad thing. So lean in and really ask your accountability people to stay with you for that trip. So that's number 8.
Number 9.
Number 9 is carve out me time. So it really is, like we were kind of talking about before, it really is important that we, even when, say, we're on vacation with our family or we're at a work conference, it is important that you have your own personal recharge time, whether it be your mind, your body. You need to be able to unplug for a little bit and reboot. For a lot of people, they don't do this, especially like you go to Orlando, Florida, or you go to Los Angeles, and it's like, we're going to Disneyland, we're going to Universal Studios, we're going to the beach. Every single day has something. And you got to start at 7 o'clock in the morning because we got to beat the lines. And every day you're just destroyed. And so if you've set that schedule, that's your thing that you've just created for yourself. So if you're able to really figure out, how do I unplug? So maybe there's a yoga studio that's close by, a restorative yoga studio, so you don't have to kill yourself. Or maybe you download a meditation app like Insight Timer. Just squeeze in a few minutes. It could be 5 minutes. Or it's like, guys, I'm going to take my book. I'm going to go down to the pool. I'm going to read for 15 minutes. I'm going to be gone for 15 minutes. Just, honey, take care of the kids, just relax. And you can do the same thing when I get back. And just find that time. You have to carve out that time for yourself. Otherwise, you just feel like you're constantly going and there's no time to reset. And that drives all of us bananas after a while. That's when the burnout happens. So we have to really carve that time out for us.
I love that. And I think it's going to kind of go into your number 10, but just getting to sleep or taking turns sleeping in. Right? Or taking the later flight back out so that you can have a morning of rest if you're on your business trip and you don't have to see clients that day. Or if you're on vacation with your family, let hubby sleeps in day 1 and, the other person sleeps in day 2. Just take that time to just do nothing.
Yeah. I mean, if you have it, like nothing. If you guys have a couple of kids, right? And one wants to wake up, early and take the kids out to go grab breakfast and bring breakfast back for mommy. And mommy gets an extra hour to sleep, to hit the shower, to maybe do a workout for herself, maybe some meditation. And you guys flip-flop that. And you come back with breakfast. Who cares? I mean, it's not like you have to sit down for family meals every single time if somebody's getting something really good out of it. So yeah, it's a great strategy. Really helping each other out along the way is such an important part of really being a team. So yeah, I love that. That was good. That was a good addition to carving out me time. Okay, so last one. Ready? Number 10. This is an important one because we don't normally do this when we're on vacation or when we're at conferences, and that's create a very strict lights out time. One of the major side effects of travel is sleep deprivation. This is one of the reasons why we all come back feeling terrible and exhausted and feeling like, oh, I need a vacation from my vacation. So we normally stay up way too late. We're watching HBO. We're like, oh my God, there's this amazing movie on, and I don't normally get to watch movies, so I'm gonna stay up until 2:00 in the morning and watch a movie, and the conference starts again at 7 a.m. We get 5 hours.
Having another drink in the bar.
Yeah, or having another drink in the bar, right? Exactly. So you get tied up into this. So you don't get enough sleep, and you just keep repeating, and by the time the trip is over, you're exhausted. So one of the things is, and this could be setting a rule for yourself, but plan on setting a rule that you're going to get 8 to 9 hours of sleep. Now, maybe even 8 or 9 is too much, but maybe while you're not going to get 9 hours of sleep, you actually get in bed 9 hours before, or you get prepped for bed 9 hours before. That means that you've already brushed your teeth, you've completed everything else that you need to get done. Before you actually get into your bed, you grab blue blocker glasses. It's a very easy thing to do that allows you to just block out blue light emitting from devices, televisions, light bulbs. This triggers a cortisol response from us that lets us know that like we should be waking up. So we want to just block that out, and that'll help us kind of get into if you notice, like blue blocker glasses, for people who don't know what they are, it's basically like an orange. They look like orange glasses. Everything is orange. And it basically mimics what the sun kind of setting in the sky would look like. It's that color. So it's like that nice bright orange where everything is kind of coming to a close for the day. And so we're setting ourselves up for that. So it makes us just feel it makes it easier to actually fall into a deep sleep if we just get those going. And get it going an hour before you actually plan on falling asleep. No screens once you're in bed. That means no TV, no iPads, no iPhone. How many times have you laid in the bed, right? You grab your phone and then you're texting. Next thing you know, it's like an hour later, you're on YouTube and you're like, your eyes are burning because you haven't blinked in an hour, right?
Or you're watching the plant trainers on IGTV.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Do not watch the plant trainers on IGTV when you're getting ready for bed. Just tune out everything. Or just bring a book. And I mean like a real, like literal book, not on your iPad, not on your Kindle. Bring a book. Paper book. Put it in your backpack. It's your carry-on, and just actually sit and read. And for most people, sitting and reading at the end of the night, they can fall asleep so much faster than if they actually click the TV on and they zone out. And that's the thing. People want like, oh, I can finally relax and watch TV and zone out. But what happens is like we zone out for 2 hours. We don't really zone out. We just basically give our attention to something else. If you're reading, it takes time to actually read. It actually takes a little bit of effort, and it just exhausts us just a little bit more. So this way we all want to go to sleep fairly quick. So for most people, reading for half an hour is, by the time they get a half hour in, they're going to have a real hard time keeping their eyes open. So bring a book with you as you get ready to go to bed, and actually lay down and get in bed ready to go, read a book, and you'll pass out in basically no time.
Those are 10 great tips for traveling, and I want to thank you for sharing those with us. For someone who's planning their next trip and looking to stay fit, looking to stay healthy, what would be the most important tip that you have that they can carry with them if they could only remember one?
The most important tip is hands down preparation. You have to, where are you staying? What do you need to be healthy? Ask yourself, what do I need to keep myself healthy on that trip? And then just do the preparation for those things. And that's it. Don't get out ahead of yourself. Like the first goal is like trying to PR. Don't think about setting any records. Just ask yourself, what do I want to, like, how do I want to stay healthy? What is it going to take to do that? And do the preparation in advance to make that happen. Because the worst thing to do is be left like to the moment and making a good decision in the moment when you feel like you don't know what to do. So preparation is really everything.
I'm right there with you. I'm all about preparation too. If people want to reach out and get in touch with you, Rob, where's the best place or places for them to go?
If they want to reach out, the best place to go would be, we have actually an awesome Facebook group, the Open Sky Fitness Podcast group, like this kind of conversation, but we take it to, anybody that listens to our show or is interested in continuing this kind of conversation, we invite them to join our podcast group that we have correspondence with all the time. You could search for it on Facebook. It's a closed group. You have to request to join, but we let all of our podcast listeners in, obviously. That's one place. Instagram is easy. It's a great way to message. And if you want something a little more personal, you go to the website, openskyfitness.com. There's a contact form there if you want to reach out and ask some specific questions that maybe you want to keep private. That's cool too. So the website, Facebook, and Instagram are basically the three places that I hang out.
And we will link to those in the show notes at planttrainers.com. Rob, we wanted to thank you so much for your time today, for your amazing tips and expertise in everything that you're doing in the health and fitness industry. And we are just very grateful that you spent time with us today.
Well, I'm grateful for you guys. Thank you so much. This was awesome. I'm glad that we finally got to connect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for listening to this edition of the Plant Trainers Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or any other podcast listening platforms. We appreciate the feedback we receive from you. Every time we get a 5-star rating or review on iTunes from one of our fans, it ensures other people will find us too. Thanks to our patrons. To become a patron, visit www.patreon.com/planttrainers. Even supporting us with $1 really makes a difference. Connect and follow us on Instagram and Twitter @PlantTrainers. Like Plant Trainers on Facebook, join our newsletter, and check out our website at www.planttrainers.com for awesome plant-based recipes and a list of our services. Email your questions to info@planttrainers.com so we can answer them on our upcoming Facebook Lives. We hope we've inspired you today. Join us again next time and have a healthy day.